Welcome back to a best of 3 series of top level StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is a Zerg versus Terran. Where in game number 1, we find ourselves on Amygdala, spawning right here in the top right hand corner, playing with the blue Zerg drones. You know him, you love him. We have none other than Serral. His opponent, one of South Korea's greatest Terrans. With the red Terran SCVs, we're looking at none other than Kjor's main command center. This particular series was recently played in the Masters Coliseum. I haven't seen the games yet, but I'm very excited to find out exactly what ended up going down. Because of course, both of these guys are ridiculously good. Then again, when is the last time that we have seen Serral lose to a Terran player that is not named Clem? Think about that for a second. When's the last time we've seen Serral lose a series against a Terran that is not Clem? This is the kind of stuff that I think about at night. In bed. I don't even know. I have no clue. He probably lost a couple games here and there. Maybe even a series or two, but Serral rarely loses in general, but especially against the Terran pieces. Now, of course, this is the new multiplayer balance patch. There's once more quite a bit of variety as far as the strategies go. Terran mech is more popular right now than it's been in a long time. Obviously, the Cyclone has also enabled all types of other builds. So, yeah, we'll have to see. Obviously, the queens are also not quite as easy to mass anymore. Like, we do still see quite a few queens, but some players have been going for 4 queens at most. Like, for example, some of those Laser games I've had a look at. But other players have also been incorporating that into their own playstyle. So, they're going for less queens, but then more drones and a much faster lair. Not exactly sure what Serral is going to go for here, but we'll have to find out together. So far, though, everything's very normal. This is, of course, going to be about a 2-minute Reaper. Nothing all too weird. Command center on the low ground. Factory should be coming up as well momentarily here for Kjor. Not going to follow this up with a Marine. No SCV scout ahead of anything, so that's a little bit sketchy, technically speaking, on Amygdala, because you only have those 2 lanes that you really can worry about. But yeah, he's going to be sending the Reaper down the bottom, and if there would be a bunch of pool-first Zerglings going through the top of the map, a Marine is going to, at the very least, keep this relatively safely. And we do have a second Marine now on the back of this, too. And then I'm sure a reactor on the back of it eventually, too. Now, at this point, though, he will see, okay, everything's normal. He's going to let that Marine finish. Third command center, rather. Fourth command center would be real quick, but third command center. Coming up right now as well, inside of the main base here of the Terran player. Zergling speed for Serral, pulling all the drones out of gas. Third hatchery in the meantime coming up. In that series against Estrella, Serral was taking his third base right over here. Curiously enough, he decides to go, at least against Terran, in this particular match. He decides to go for the triangular position. I always find that curious. Obviously, there's advantages to both. In general, Zerg players like to expend away from the opponent. So the further you can expend away from the Terran player, the more advantage you get from that movement speed advantage that Zerg usually has. Obviously, if it takes longer for the opponent to get into a fight, well, it also means that you get a slight advantage because your units are quicker. Starport on the back of this, no tech lab. Hellions, though, are being pumped out. He can still go for a tech lab if he wants to, but it makes more sense, indeed, to go into a Liberator. So basically just the stock standard approach right here from Kjor. Kjor not really somebody, though, who really goes for anything too wild. He does mix it up from time to time, but generally speaking, he's quite a standard Terran player. That does mean, though, he will have to beat Serral at his own game. Serral, of course, the epitome of standard Zerg. Perfect grenade jump. Both of the queens decided to go their ways. Serral, though, not opting for any of that 4-queen shenanigans, right? So he's going all the way up to 7 already. And basically just taking the economical disadvantage early on. Apparently he believes if he can just catch up in that department a little bit later on, he will be fine. So it's 25 additional minerals for each of the queens. It does really mean that the Zerg economy is just a bit more flimsy. It's already, like in the previous patch, it was already quite vulnerable. It basically just means that Serral needs to play even more carefully, but yeah, as long as the queen positioning is good, and as long as he doesn't have any units running in, he should be okay. Looks like he's a fan of using the triple control group here. So 1 control group of queens right over here, One of them right over here, and then another group that will be in charge of injects. Are we not going to move in there? Oh, well, Hellions are going to try and join in. It's an ambitious move here, though. Gotta keep those Hellions moving, man, otherwise you get surrounded. Queens over here are mostly just waiting to see if they can be useful eventually. Liberator is gonna get sniped as well, and these units are not gonna live for much longer. And even though a lot of Zerglings have died here, this is a trait that Zerg will make any day of the week. Because right now, there's about 0% chance that Terran's gonna do anything until at least a minute or so from now. I guess we have Stimpack finishing up, so you could theoretically line up another push. But it's extremely dangerous right now for Kjør to make a move, meaning that Serral can just do whatever he likes. And what he likes to do is make a hatchery, double upgrades, Baneling Nest as well. We're making an extra couple of Zerglings, but it's mostly just drones. Macro hatch inside of that main base. I mean, he is essentially just going straight up towards all of the economy that he needs. And that's because he just shut down that early game pressure. That's the advantage of keeping those Hellions and the Liberators around for a little bit longer, because it can always put on just a little bit of damage here and there, right? You can at the very least always put on a bit of pressure on the Zerg side of the map. Kjør is going to take out his frustration on the Tentacle Rocks. It's the first time I've seen those Tentacle Rocks actually get shut down like that. Apparently the Tentacles retreat. Ugh. That is knowledge I did not need to have. Can we kill those ones too over here, just for memes? No. No, we're gonna kill Creep instead. Oh. Gonna be able to kill that though in time. Suddenly the perfect scan, man. He actually got all of those Creep tumors, and then some. Alright. On the back it is though for Zerg, we've got Hydralisks. Armory coming up right now for Kjør. That will allow him to go straight into the 2-2 upgrades as well inside of those engineering base. Ooh, look at the rocks. Ugh, weird. It's actually a very effective creep cleaning squad over here. These are the most advanced janitors in the entire galaxy. They found their shields in their back pockets just now. That's nice. But they have been clearing out a ton of creep, and they're not done yet. No, they want to get more. Yeah, all of this would have been really good if we didn't just YOLO into Hellions and then the Liberator too. This is a much more successful drop as far as dealing damage to the actual Zerg structures go, because Serral's not going to be able to keep that base alive. Widowmine. Whoa, good splitty. The eye pistol, advanced targeting, get into the groove. Oh my god. You know how like the Apple Vision thing, like the headset that they have, also has a battery that goes in your pocket? This is something that must have been designed in like 2010. Okay. Put on your tinfoil hats! Zergling trying to control the watchtower. Not going to happen for long. In the meantime, the watchtower on the other side of the map is also controlled by the Terran player. Yeah, so Serral is basically happy to be a punching bag. That's just what he likes to do. He likes getting hit in the face and then eventually overwhelming the Terran. But so far, he's really just getting hit in the face repeatedly. Turns out he's got a large face. Good splits again against those Widow Mines, but the Terran army is still good. Widow Mine army is actually underway. We don't really see a ton of Widow Mine play as of late. I feel like it's become less popular. Maybe it's just the games that I've seen, but over the last couple of weeks, I haven't really seen a lot of Terrans go for just straight up Widow Mine play. It's a lot of siege tank shenanigans. I don't mind it at all against Ling Bane, but now that Hydras are here, Hydras do outrange Widow Mines. And with good splits... with good splits, the Zerglings really can mitigate a lot of damage. Look how good those splits are. Oy, oy, oy. Just click. Yeah, you struggle against Widow Mines, just click better. It's easy, dude. Just click. Yeah. When you see the thing, like you see the little line, just click the Zergling that's targeted and then run that in another direction. Duh. So obvious. Never considered that before. Hive coming up right now. Burrow, researching in the natural. Ghost Academy on the production tab as well. Not nearly as scary as it once used to be. In maxed out situations, the Ghost is just a little bit more difficult to produce. But we've seen quite a few games, right? Remember that, what was it, Elaser going up against Björn? That was effectively a mass Ghost siege tank army. The Ghost was still pretty good. No Zerglings, though, in that particular game, and those units are already swarming all over the Terran player. Cure suddenly gets wiped off the map in this region. Serral playing very cautiously, decides to back off. Hive is just about to finish. +2/+2 coming up as well, but these are really not that quick. It's because he was prioritizing armor. Yeah, Serral's been playing very cautiously. Finally, he goes across, or at least he's thinking about it. No, I think he's actually just trying to defend that base. Finally, a Widowmine that gets something done. A lot of Zerglings do get blown to pieces. The entirety of the Terran army, though, needs to pick up and get on out of there. This guy killed 19 Lings. Okay. Good movement here by Cure, across the board. Very oppressive playstyle. But the main problem for him is that he hasn't really made a lot of headway, right? Like, so he's done a bit of damage and he's slowed down the Zerg a bit. But this is all very much so recoverable for Serral, who's effectively just trying to slowly tech up. He's going into adrenal glands now. These are by no means the fastest Vipers in the world, but this Zerg army is just about to get a hell of a lot better. I do like the Ghost, but this is one of those additions where the Ghost is actually not nearly as useful, right? Like, you can make the Ghost here, and it is going to give you additional damage output. It's not like they're bad against Lings. They can actually soak up quite a few Banelings, too. But as long as there's no Ultras, or Lurkers, or Brute Lords, or, like, mass spellcasters out in general, the Ghost is actually not that useful. I guess the Ghost can be quite tanky, though. I've actually seen a few games where, and this feels really cursed to me. Oh, hold that thought, as we do have the Lings and the Banes rolling on down towards the planetary fortress. This is seconds before 2-2, and adrenal glands are done. I think Serral should have delayed this push a little bit, man. This could be a gigantic blunder, although maybe he's got enough to still at least kill the planetary. No mass repair in time there for Cure. He was too busy splitting. He was also fighting up north, though, so ultimately it's an eye for an eye. Okay. Yeah, I think he could have saved the planetary. Serral should have waited until this upgrade finished before attacking. Good splitty. Good splitty over there as well. Yeah, I've seen a couple games where Clem is going for a bunch of Ghosts, and he's purposefully using the Ghost to tank in some of the Baneling shots. So he's actually leading the army with the Ghosts, and then picking them up as the last target, because they're actually quite a tanky unit. I still think it would have been better to nerf the unit a little bit, not by increasing the supply, but by increasing its tankiness or just its damage output or something along those lines. At least it would have been more elegant. Still feels a bit strange to me to have that as a 3 supply unit, but anyways, that's not terrible. Zergling. Okay, target it. Nicely done right there by Cure, who now has to be fighting those Lurkers, but he's already been making Ghosts. He's got 9 of them already, which is actually really good. Nanomuscular Swell. That's my caster flex coming up. That's the lunge ability for the Hydralisks. Now research for Serral. We have another starport now coming up together with a fusion core, so Cure is ready to make that transition towards a proper late-game Terran army. Command center's coming up. All right. Hope you got yourself a drink, because we could be here for some time. I say that, though, Serral has been a little bit more feisty over the last couple minutes. He's been trying to sit here for a while, and he's been absorbing every attack. It seems to me, man, this Marauder's very tanky. It seems to me that he is about ready to start moving around the map a lot more. Serral at 81 workers. Cure at 69. It's a good economy for Terran. but nothing amazing. And obviously, much like we saw over here, we can also harass the Terran player from this side of the mineral wall. Oh, a couple of Marines and Marauders sleeping on the job. Lurkers decide to back off. No expansion down south yet. One Zergling is left behind and is going to burrow itself right under here. We don't mind trying to settle itself in a location that can be incredibly obnoxious. This is one of those things that, as a ladder hero, it's super obnoxious when there's random Widow Mines all over the map. Highly recommended if you're a Terran player. This planetary fortress is not going to live. He did pop a couple of SCVs in to save them for a little bit longer. 9 of them have gone down, but that's another planetary down the drain. Advanced ballistics here is coming. We have a 3rd starport on the production tab too. So Cure is setting himself up for like a really long late game. And Serral is starting to fight like he wants to end this game very soon. He still has a lot of money in the bank. He needs to address this really large force though from Terran. There's a lot of units all sprinkled around. As long as the fight takes place off creep, Cure should be fine. Quite a few Vipers, by the way. 4 Vipers in total. I think he probably expected one of them to go down. Here we go, though. Parasitic bombs. Chasing this army off creep. No more Widow Mines over here. The traits have been really good for Serral across the board in this game. There's the lunge ability, allowing him to catch up to some of that retreating and kiting Marine Marauder. Lucky for these guys, man. No medevacs remaining anymore for them. But at least they managed to make their way home. A couple of Liberators are going to be used to kill at least one of those Lurkers. There it is. Going to go into the upgrade as well for the medevacs. I don't mind it, but Cure is flat broke. Like, he's spending his money. Like, he isn't buying anything on credit. And I think Serral is about to come take any of his cash. If Serral sits back here, Cure is going to be fine. If Serral continues fighting, which seems to be exactly what he's going to do, it's going to be quite difficult for Cure to catch up. Cure just doesn't have the income. Look at his money right now. Couple of snipies. Not bad at all. But just not a lot of backbone. Like, he needs more stuff. It sounds silly, but like, this is one of those classic scenarios where you've got all the upgrades and you have all the fancy tools, but you have none of the bulk. Marines are being researched, Marauders are coming up. Like, if Cure is given a couple minutes to breathe and he can like max out again and maybe secure another base, this is going to be excellent for him. But it seems to me that Serral has gobbled up the entire map. Look at the minimap right now. He is taking everything. Okay. Obviously, Serral doesn't know, right? He doesn't know that Cure already got all those late-game tools going. It's taken Cure so long, though, to max out. Oh, yeah, I feel like he's been sitting at this amount of supply for 5 minutes. Here we go. Serral ready for his next push. It's mostly Zerglings here in the front. That's a lot of mules, though, that will go down. No pool on the SCVs at all, and this is not really something he can afford. 16 SCVs end up going down just like that. Serral backs off. Couple of Lurkers here as well in the gold base. This is, of course, that forward-facing gold. Super annoying. Much like the Terran player was harassing that side of the mineral line, now Serral's doing the same thing right over here. Couple of abductions. Yeah, Serral in the new patch has been playing very cautiously. To the point where you're like wondering if he's playing too cautiously, you know? He's playing extremely safe, not really taking any chances. He doesn't really need to, admittedly. But I feel like he, in a way, has been toying with his food a little bit. Because I'm fairly certain he can just take his entire army and attack move over here. And everything Terran will just sort of die. But Serral kills the command center, burrows a Zergling. Like, he's taking this very serious. These Lurkers are dancing back and forth, though. And they have killed an entire mineral line worth. I think Serral is not just going in for the kill. He's going for the full suffocation here. He doesn't care about winning. He wants his opponent to hurt in the process. Yeah, I think it's better, Cure. Just tap out, man. Rip off the band-aid while you still have the option. GG. Calm and collected. It's the Serral way. He saw an opportunity. Surrounded the Hellions at like minute 5. And then he just ran away, right? There were some opportunities, I guess, on the back of it when Serral was first dealing with those marine drops. It seemed to me that Kjör caught him off guard with that one drop all the way up north. He was quick to cancel, though, and he already had another base going. But other than that, I feel like Kjör did very little after that. Like, he was making that transition towards that very Maru-esque style, that Bjorn-esque style, where basically the game plan is to sit. That style where you just kind of, you know, sit, and you make a command center, and then you make another command center, and then you make ghosts and liberators, and you just... And Serral said no. Serral said no. Hanging out. Slowly gobbling up those bases. It does seem to be difficult on ley lines. I've seen quite a few games now where ley lines is a map where if you start falling behind, you can hold on to your 3 bases, maybe your 4 bases relatively easily, but it's practically impossible to take a 5th. Yeah, so you can stay in the game, but ultimately you die a very slow and painful death. That seems to be how ley lines works out. Or, sorry, not ley lines, amygdala. This is ley lines right over here. Ley lines is a little bit easier as far as that goes. Quite a few bases across the board to take. I'm actually not exactly sure what the win-loss ratios are like. Let me have a quick little peek. Ley lines. Ley lines. Liquipedia. It keeps track of all of the statistics, all of the maps, and all of the games that are being played. So for Terran versus Zerg, this has a win rate for Terran of 47%. And actually in the Zerg versus Protoss matchup, it also has a 51% advantage for Zerg. Meaning that across the board, this is a good Zerg map. And then certainly Serral's map pick. In contrast for Amygdala. Amygdala against... Oh wow, Amygdala Zerg versus Protoss has a 65% advantage for Protoss. Really? So that's the map we were on in game number 1. I haven't seen a Protoss map in a long time. Apparently that's a Protoss map, huh? That's been a bit of an ongoing joke in the StarCraft world for some time now. Like, yeah, we know what makes a good Terran map. We know what makes a good Protoss, or a good Zerg map. But what's a Protoss map? What does it look like? Well, apparently it looks like Amygdala. Obviously, the sample sizes are still relatively small, right? He's trying to see if he can snipe that drone. Oh, Brenda is in the middle. Brenda, get out! We're trying to make a base here. Brenda, move out of the way. All right. She has so many legs, but still so slow. Is there a lore reason, by the way, why the queens are so slow? Are Brood War queens also slow, but because they can fly, we can't really tell? Why did Brenda and Karen lose their wings? They used to have a place as well called the Queen's Nest. Is the hatchery secretly just an expanded version of a Queen's Nest? I don't know. Got a lot of questions. It's gonna be a 1-1-1 right here for Kjör. Triple CC once more. Back during the Brood Wars, we could fly. Sure, Brenda. Sure. Let's get you back to creep. Can we go across the map? Yeah, I mean, it's important here not to get these Hellions surrounded for free again. Every time we see Hellions getting surrounded in the early game, it always leads to a Zerg win. I can't even remember the last time I've seen Terran just get their Hellions almost given away for free. Even if you kill like 20 links, if you lose these Hellions mostly for free, it just seems to be nearly unwinnable. I mean, obviously it takes another 10 minutes, sometimes more than that, to actually lose, but it is tricky. Lair coming up right now for Serral, about 4.5 minutes. Are we going to go for a Baneling Nest as well? Probably on the back of this eventually. He has seen the cloaking upgrade, so he knows that he's going to need Spore Crawlers here before too long. Usually about 450. Can delay them a little bit as well if he wants to. You also have to figure out whether or not that cloaking upgrade was actually fake. If you're really confident, you could even rely on just a... there it is. You could even rely on just a couple of overseers. There's the double NG bay. So, really no shenanigans here from Cure whatsoever. Just straight up StarCraft 2. Now, the Spore Crawler is a couple seconds late, like I was trying to point out, but nothing that you can't overcome. There's that Baneling Nest, so the Baneling speed can start up nice and quickly. We'll probably see double Evolution Chamber on the back of it. So far, though, very limited amounts of damage done, but of course, with this particular build, you don't really need to deal a lot of damage here as Terran. You're usually fine. Just killing a couple units. Any drone kill here is good. Any Zergling forced out is good, but you have that early third command center anyways. Here come the Cloak Banshees. 1 drone. 2 drones. 3 drones. Oh, no. The Hellions, or the Banshees rather, did not fire in sync. Wasted shot on the Extractor. Okay. Yeah, and Serral's cruising. This is that moment that Serral is ready to just play a long game once more. He's got his playlist on, you know. He's just filled up his gas. We're going on a little road trip. And the road trip is called Zerg Macro. Infestation Pit, 1-1. When Serral is in this mode, though, he's very difficult to stop. It's not like Cure is in a bad position here, it's just that Serral is in a really comfortable one. I kind of feel like in the games that we see Serral lose against Clem. So Serral has been absolutely getting destroyed by Clem. In the last, like, 12 maps that they played, Clem won, like, what, 10? Something along those lines. Anyways, Clem has been outplaying Serral a lot, and I feel like a lot of that is due to him getting away with a quick triple CC build, but then also at the same time dealing damage in the early game. Rarely do we see a game be even going into like the 8-minute mark or so, and then Serral not winning, right? Like, it's all about trying to stop the man in his tracks. And if you give him any sort of wiggle room, like if this army just sort of disappears because Cure butchers his micro, Serral's gonna run away with the victory. So far, so good, though. Cure trying to go in for a big move, but Serral has identified that this is a slow push right here from the Terran player. Yeah, siege tanks coming in, a couple of those Hellbats in the back. Good rally point here, though. Cure's got all of his additional units rallied onto that one lowered supply depot. This is the nice little play that Terrans like to go for. Fight up north, I mean, it's still sort of happening. Cure's like, yo, come out and play. Come and surround me, buddy. I'm gonna kill your base. I don't actually think you want to go, Serral. No. No. Cure wants to invite him off creep, but he doesn't actually want to play. Banshees. Love it whenever the Banshees are still up in the air. They're almost like little mini oracles at this point, just sniping free units. Couple Vipers coming up. If Serral can survive until Vipers are out, then he will engage off creep. Zerg under a lot of pressure right now. But Serral is trying to be very patient. Now that Siege Tank Blast was a good one. 10 kills. Vipers do need energy as well, so they are out. I believe they have been spotted by Cure. Honestly, I think Cure should back up. I don't think you want to be out here. Spore Crawler, okay. Curious way of winning a fight. Like, one Blinding Cloud on the Siege Tanks, and this Terran army is going to get wiped off the map. I mean, at this point, honestly, Zerg has been macroing for so long. There's probably about as much Terran army as well at home. I mean, he did send in some reinforcements, I believe. Yeah, now the Vipers are out, man. When Serral saw this push coming in, I don't even think he had a hive started yet. Now the Vipers are out and they have energy. Extreme patience. Blinding Cloud. Yep, there we go. Is there enough swarm to overwhelm this? This reporter can only guess. Yes. My Donnie Vermillion quote went wrong with the final word. Yeah, expertly done right there by Serral. Calm and collected. I think this sort of push should have come in a little bit earlier. Queen's transfusing. Spore Crawler actually has moved. Again, though, by no means a bad spot right here for Cure. He's got his second factory here. 2-2 is even finishing already. This time around, the Zerg's 2-2 is much quicker than the previous game. Planetary Fortress coming up at the forward base. New command center is building right now. We're going for the +2 armor already for Widow Mines. For siege tanks. For anything. Good splitter right there on the Medevac. Here's the first time Serral really goes across the map and he finds something that he can work with. And, well, Banelink's trailing behind a little bit. Oh, they could have gotten more damage. He wanted to have the pie and eat it too. Well, apparently he got it all, actually. 19 SCVs. The entirety of the Terran army is going back home. Ay, 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 ay. Yeah, the first time Serral goes across the map with a proper chunk of his army, like not just a small group of lings. He kills all of the Terran's economy, pretty much. Yeah, Clem is just broken, man. When you see Clem play against Serral, Serral doesn't look like this at all. Like, Serral's by no means playing bad in those games, but this is the Serral we all have come to expect over the years. Like, what do you even do? It's like an immovable object, you know? Like, what do you decide? Like, how do you fight it? Cure is by no means playing poorly. He's just, slightly out macroed, slightly out microed, slightly out strategized. Like, in every pillar of the game, he's just slightly behind. We're talking like 1 or 2 percentage points, you know? It's like, by no means a huge amount. But now these attacks are becoming a lot more dire. Now these pushes here are becoming a lot more committed. Cure needs to deal damage now. This isn't just him trying to do a hatchery snipe, or he's not just fishing to get lucky. This is now becoming pretty much do or die. 87 workers versus 51. So Cure is not replenishing his SCV count. Instead, he's trying to go for the full bulldozer approach. He's effectively trying to go for like a 150 army supply type of army, knowing very well that Zerg is going to be stuck at like 120 at most. Oh, well, just a bit too slow. Medevac gets sniped. Bio army gets destroyed. Liberator gets abducted. Zerglings still going to town. Mostly just an APM limitation, but frustrating nonetheless. Medevacs end up getting sniped as well. Yeah, usually Clem puts on so much pressure that Serral doesn't have the units to go for those counterattacks. Like, Clem deals damage early on that Serral needs to use all of his army for base defense. In these situations, Serral, like, takes a small advantage here, a small advantage there, and eventually he ends up with, like, 50 Zerglings that aren't really needed in the main battle, and he uses that for counterattacks, and it is just relentless. GG gets called. Serral obtains the victory 2-0. And he makes it look relatively easy.